So as promised, this is a bit of a discussion of how you should structure your essay. Not too dissimilar to what you would have been taught previous. So your introductory paragraph is like an inverse triangle. You start off broad and then you go narrow. So you start with a hook. And a hook could mean numerous different things. It might mean a shocking fact or statistic. It could mean a story. It could mean a question, a rhetorical question. Information on the topic gives us context. And context, of course, is time, place, situation, just stuff that your reader might need to know to understand what's happening. Definitions is a good way to help introduce your reader to the topic. So if you're talking about biodiversity or CO2, if you're talking about energy efficiency or different types of aquaculture, those might need definitions. So your audience might not know precisely what that is. Last sentence of your introductory paragraph is your thesis. This is your point, and that's why it's the bottom point of the triangle. It is where you really synthesize, really bring together your point of view. It should answer the question asked in the assignment. So if your assignment question, go back to our questions here in our assignment, was how is Covington like polar bears? I could answer this question. I could say that Covington, like a polar bear, is a metaphor for our disappearing ice stores. And there are 3 ways that they are similar. And then I would list my 1, 2, 3 ways that they're similar. This is a really good sample here, the sentence that I've highlighted. This type of thesis statement never goes out of style. This is a good way to understand, for your reader, the map of where you're going. It has my opinion. The best way to power our cars is gasoline, or is biofuel, or is electrical energy, like electrical battery-driven cars. And then I have 3 reasons why. These 3 reasons helps us build our body. Each of those 3 reasons is 1 paragraph in our body. Now, you might say, well, how do I ever write a longer essay than 5 paragraphs? I know they exist. Sometimes our subcategories can be broken down. So for instance, if one of my reasons up here is clean energy, I might have a paragraph where I talk about harvesting the energy, like, natural gas, for example. Getting natural gas out of the ground is less messy than getting coal out of the ground. Likewise, I might also talk about the actual emissions from the car. If you have an electrical engine, there's no emissions, or an electrical motor, there's no emissions from the car. But maybe there are more emissions when the battery is made than when petroleum is distilled. So each body paragraph has to have a topic sentence, a point, and here are 2 good ways to introduce. My first reason for supporting biofuel is, and then you give your reason. Another reason, that'd be your second paragraph. If you are doing something controversial, or if you are pointing out something that people might not be familiar with, another perspective, people may argue. So, people may argue that gasoline is the worst idea ever for cars, but I disagree because if you're in the middle of the Gobi Desert, there is no charging station. So, and then you would have evidence of that to support your thesis, that topic sentence. And then you would explain how that evidence supports your point, and then you transition to your next paragraph. You should also link things back to the main argument. So if you're using the key words of your thesis statement, of your introduction, that will help. There is a paragraph that you can put before your conclusion where you acknowledge the other side. If you've been doing debate in another class. You will already be familiar with this. But if you are going to argue that we shouldn't use electrical energy for our cars, we shouldn't use electric cars, that we should stick to petroleum, we should stick to gasoline, then you need to explain why. Because that would be, in the 21st century, in 2022 or 2021, that would be a very extreme stance to say there's no role for the electrical vehicle. In our conclusion, we do the triangle again, but in opposite. We should restate our thesis, restate our purpose and point in writing. What was your point that you wanted to make? You summarize your main points. So you revisit body paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. What were your ideas that you wanted to show how your thesis was right? You remind the reader why they care. So what, basically? This is the so what question. Like, so you've told me everything here. So what? Why do I care? And then you state how your idea fits into the big picture or society. So how is this impactful? How does this connect to our broader ideas? You will find here, and I don't expect you to zoom in, but I want to just show you there's sample conclusion of literary analysis and sample conclusion for argumentative essay. These are always consistent. This is how conclusions are written, but what they look like is different. So how you answer these questions, depending on the purpose of why you are writing, that varies. But you want to restate your thesis, summarize your main points, remind the reader why they should care, and then connect to the big picture. How does this affect society, our world, our community, etc.? If you take a look at the assignment, you'll find the instructions. You will also find a link to the Peel structure, that point, evidence, explain, link. And that structure will give you not just an explanation of what each thing is and spaced practice if you want to, but of course an example. So this is a topic sentence, evidence, explanation, and linking. I would encourage you to put your evidence before your explanation. It makes it easier to link. But sometimes that's not natural. Sometimes this works really well, okay? So there is some variation there. Good luck.